Good afternoon. I'd like to bring the October 30th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting into session. Welcome to Planning Commission members, staff, and guests. Multiple staff members are here today to ensure that the meeting runs smoothly and all applicants and members of the public are able to participate in the meeting at the appropriate times.
If you're here today and would like to speak about a case, please provide your name clearly into the microphone, and please be sure to sign in, either at the back of the room or at the podium for documentation purposes. If you're here today to speak about a case, you must speak up when the chairperson calls for public comment. And I'll call the roll. Mr. Causey? Here. Mr. Cook?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Harp?
Here.
Mr. Osorio?
Here.
Ms. Thomas?
Here.
And Mr. Frost?
Here.
We have quorum.
I'll give a brief meeting overview. Applicants with a request before the Planning Commission are allotted a presentation time of 10 minutes. This time should include, but is not limited to, an overview of the project, case history, and any pertinent meetings held regarding the request. This time also includes all persons presenting information on behalf of the applicant, such as attorneys, engineers, and architects. This time limit does not include any questions asked by the Planning Commission or staff regarding the requests. During the public comment period, members of the general public are given the opportunity to address their concerns in intervals of 2 minutes. After the public comment period, applicants have 5 minutes to respond. And once Planning Commission begins deliberation, no additional comments will be permitted by the applicant or the public. The administrator does have a timer and will make presenters aware of when their time has expired. The Planning Commission reserves the right to amend these procedures on a case-by-case basis. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are a couple of changes since publication. As you know, this is, our meeting has been rescheduled from October 12th. So what was on the agenda, case number 5, which is text amendment 2023-0005, was forwarded to the City Council zoning public hearing per South Carolina Code Section 6-29-760, and that was heard on October 17th. And also case number 6, which is Annex 2023-0018, which was Park Lane Road annexation, was also forwarded to the City Council's October 17th zoning public hearing. Other than that, the agenda still stands.
Thank you. The Planning Commission uses the consent agenda to approve non-controversial or routine matters by a single motion and vote. Examples of such items include approval of site plans, annexations, and street names. If a member of the Planning Commission or the general public wants to discuss an item on the consent agenda, you must speak up after the consent agenda is read. Then that item is removed from the consent agenda and considered during the meeting. The Planning Commission then approves the remaining consent agenda items.
So I'll read through the consent agenda. The first is to approve the September 14th, 2023 meeting minutes. Second, under future land use map amendment and zoning map amendment for a pending annexation, is Annex 2023-0022 at 1200 Hayward Street, formerly known as 101 South Evans Street. This is a recommendation on the assignment of land use classification of urban core mixed residential type 3 and the assignment of zoning of Community Activity Center Corridor District for a pending annexation. The property is currently classified as mixed residential high density and zoned M1 by Richland County. Case number 3 is under major site plan review. This is S-Plan-2023-0011 for 111 and 161 Pontiac Business Center. This is a request for major site plan approval for the construction of a 90,950 square foot self-storage facility. The property is zoned LI, light industrial. Case 4 is also a site plan, major site plan. This is S-Plan-2023-0012, 8241 Park Lane Road. Request major site plan approval for the construction of a 140,000 square foot public health laboratory. This is the South Carolina DHEC lab building. The property is zoned INS Gen, Institutional General District. And that is it for the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone in the general public that would like to see a consent agenda item removed and placed on the regular meeting agenda? Seeing none, hearing none. Is there anyone from Planning Commission that would like to see an item pulled and moved to regular agenda?
Mr. Chair, I don't see any need to have an item removed, but I do have a question about case number 8241 Park Lane Road, if I could ask the staff a quick question.
Is that something that would require removal if it's just a question, clarification?
We can see if your clarification can just be answered by staff without having to discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah. My only question was about the traffic study in terms of what did that look like and how much was included in that in terms of the times of day maybe that the study was performed?
Yeah, I think if we were going to discuss that, which we can, we would need to pull that off consent.
No, I don't want to do that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So no items to be pulled by the Planning Commission from the consent agenda on the regular meeting? Seeing none, I will accept the motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we approve September 14th, 2023 minutes along with today's consent agenda with any staff comments.
Got a motion to approve the meeting minutes and the consent agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. The motion is approved.
Okay,
All right,
so
now, the Planning Commission will now move forward with those items on the regular agenda. We will use the following outline for regular agenda items. The administrator will introduce the case. The applicant will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. Planning Commission may ask questions. The public comment period will be open to those present. The public comment period will be closed. The applicant will have 5 minutes to respond to any public comments, and Planning Commission may ask additional questions of the applicant, and then deliberation and action by the Planning Commission will occur. Once the Planning Commission begins deliberation, no additional comments will be permitted by the applicant or the public.
So the first case on the regular agenda, pardon me, is a zoning map amendment. This is ZMA-2023-0014, 2401 Gadsden Street, 701 Chester Street, and the parcel next to 701 Chester Street. This is a request for a recommendation to rezone the property from RSF3, which is residential single-family small lot district, to MU2, which is a mixed-use district. I will go ahead and read the staff recommendation. This is in the Elmore Park neighborhood. So this is about a 0.91 acre collection of parcels, which is currently vacant and being used as storage. And the staff recommendation, it says, while there are MU2 parcels adjacent to the properties, the proposed rezoning is for 3 lots that front Chester and Gadsden Street, which are both part of the single-family residential street grid. Staff typically does not recommend rezoning single-family zoned properties to a more intense mixed-use district, particularly when there is a clearly defined boundary that would be eroded as a result, and/or when it is inconsistent with the future land use for the area. Staff finds that the proposed zoning is inconsistent with the future land use classification in the Columbia Compass and Vision 2036 and with the adopted area plan, and recommends denial of the request. And I would also just like to mention, just for the record, before we get into the discussion, is that there have been some letters received, a few of which you received via email, when we had the original meeting scheduled for the 12th. And then you've got a couple that came in today that you should have hard copies of as well.
Okay. We've heard the case, we've heard the staff recommendation. Are there any questions to staff before we hear from the applicant, assuming the applicant is present? Any questions at this time for staff? Is the applicant present and would like to give a presentation? Yes, ma'am. Do you want to present anything on the zoning? Yeah, please step forward and
Hi, I'm Jennifer Powers, and I own the property that's in question. This property was purchased somewhere around 2015, and Cox and Dinkins had given me a survey of the property, or there was a survey filed at the time. The property was zoned a PUD zoning at that time, and the sewer line that I discovered after much to do with the city and Cox and Dinkins runs completely across the bottom part of the RS3 at Chester and Wayne Street. This reduced the possibilities of any type of development significantly. And it has not been resolved, as the city did not want to take responsibility for a prescriptive easement, and they are using the sewer on my property without an easement. So they felt that I needed to pay to move the sewer. So that is just not something that I am financially able to do. So I have been trying to maintain the property at a great expense, fight the urban camping and the homeless people in that area. So this property has been quite a challenge for me for a long time. Now, at the top of the hill is a VFW building. It's approximately 1,000 square feet, block building with about an 8-inch concrete floor, 2 bathrooms, and it was used as a VFW for 50 years. So I have been using it because I have a license, a business license across the street. I'm a general contractor. So I've been using this building in conjunction with my business and for storage and such. So I've noticed that the MU1 on Wayne Street, that some of these businesses have been closed down for years. They didn't change any of their zoning. They have not changed the zoning right adjacent to me on a vacant lot that is zoned MU2 on Gadsden Street. So evidently they have just cherry-picked me out of the community there to change my zoning. I'm contiguous with M2 zoning all around me, and at the back of my houses, of which I live in one, the city allowed Junk King to come in with a garbage transfer station and gave them a business license, and I've had to fight that for almost a year to get that removed. So evidently, you know, I feel like I've been singled out for one thing. I've asked for suggestions from city development on what they think could go there, because the demolishing of a VFW that was there from the 20s is not an easy thing to do, is a demolition, and there's just not enough room. My street has 10 feet less in right-of-way, street right-of-way, than the rest of the streets in Elmwood Park. I'm really not a member of Elmwood Park because I don't have sidewalks, I don't have street lights, I don't have anything that the rest of Elmwood Park has. And but Elmwood Park, you know, I've always been very cognizant when I built the other 3 houses and renovated the one, that I stay contiguous with materials, with, you know, nice building aesthetics, and I've always kept this property in utmost of condition because I own from Gadsden Street all the way to Wayne Street on both sides. So there's no one else other than one other neighbor that would even be affected by noise or by anything else. Now, I'm not, because it was MU2, gave me the options of maybe a little social club. I thought a pickleball court, then everybody got upset about, Wall Street Journal says the pickleball court is noisy. Nobody really has any statistics to prove anything. They just don't like it. So I wrote a letter to the HOA and asked them for suggestions of what they'd like to have there or whatever. So everybody just wants me to demolish the building or build houses when houses are just not going to fit on, there's only one buildable lot. So I have to come up with something that accommodates this sewer main that runs completely across the property. And I believe one of the former commissioners is Cox and Dinkins. So I hate it that Gene Dinkins missed it because I've worked with him for years, but that's just the facts. So the city doesn't want to help you with anything, but I'm paying commercial garbage. I pay commercial taxes. I applied in 2020 for a sewer tap, which was a commercial payment for that, and they put the tap in. But during the pandemic, this zoning got done without any notice to me, and so here we are. And the building is kind of unsightly, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to put a lot of money in it because the neighborhood won't let you do anything. I need either some help or I need the city to remove that sewer off of the lot so I can build residential. It was a significant investment for me, and I'm aging out. I'm in my 60s now, and this was, a retirement vision, but I'm afraid that, it's going to cause a hardship for me. But I can't continue to just pay taxes on a piece of property that's not developable, or somebody needs to come up with something else. I could use it for parking to go along with the little building, but I can't use it to dig into a foundation or do anything with that sewer. So maybe the city can correct their sewer issue and move the sewer over further to the embankment, and then the lots could be developed. But then that's still going to cause parking situations because we don't have a wide enough street like the rest of the streets in Elmwood Park. So I'm a general contractor. I was a title agent for 41 years. In fact, I worked with Mr. Fuller when I was in my 20s. I don't know what else to do to try to accommodate a neighborhood that won't give you any solutions but just wants to complain. The property was zoned the way. They haven't done anything with the vacant lot right next door to me, which is in the residential district. So evidently, they've just singled me out. I need either help or I need an explanation of why I've been singled out by the city and, how all this came to be without any notice. So getting to that, I think that the environmental issues that I have with the MU1 behind me, which is underground leakage and this and that, and I fight the homeless situation like it's the Wild West down there, and I've been doing this for 24 years now. So I don't know what the city or what this neighborhood expects me to do to continue to pay taxes on a piece of property that's not developable, or to dump money into something that is not going to give me any return. So I need help. If it's a planning commission, plan something. But they're not going to, there's only one lot that can be built on. So I don't understand the uproar of the neighborhood. They just, I was told by the HOA that they were concerned about, they didn't want any high rise down there. Well, even the way it is, it's 3 stories is allowed. So, I couldn't afford a concrete 4-story structure if I wanted to. But I've lived down there. I have built these houses in a time when the neighborhood was not desirable. I couldn't even get financing from our local lenders. I hawked my house in Heathwood to move into Elmwood 25 years ago. I cleaned up a whole entire city block that was that wasn't worth lending on nor anybody living in. And I've endured a lot, and my stuff is impeccable. My houses are impeccable, my yards are impeccable, but just to maintain that lot across the street cost me about $2,500 a year. So I pay $200 a month for a guy to come and cut it. And I'm getting no help from the city. All of the adjacent property is the embankment. It billows into my property. They do nothing with the MU2 people next door. It's just what they want, and they've spent copious amounts of money on this greenway, rail to trail, that was given away. I happened to be there at the time when the deal was made by Jim Papadilla with the people that formerly owned that property. And I saw the transaction, and it was not copacetic. So I don't know what the city wants to do, but I need help, and I'd like some consideration and some help, not just complaints and not just changing my value of my property.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Before you step away, just real quick, are there any questions for the applicant from Planning Commission at this stage?
The site that you cited that has not been updated or changed, that's contiguous, is that the one across from the John Keene building, or are you talking about
No, sir.
the school development?
No, that's the MU2. You'll see that little triangular jut that comes into Gadsden Street. That's it.
Between you and the rail?
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions for the applicant? No? Thank you.
You're welcome.
And is there any other folks here from the public that would like to speak for or against this particular project, this case? Yes, sir. Come on up. Please state your name.
Okay, Alvin Porty Jr.
Just a reminder, we'll have 2-minute increments for others for or against the project.
I've been a neighbor of Miss Powers for a good many years over there on Chester Street, and she's been a good person for the community. And those 3 houses, she fixed them up, because if you had seen it before she bought it, it was bad. And when she got in, she cleans it up, and all those houses look real good. I would like to see that the city would move the drainage over so she can do something with that property. And she's been a good person for our community, and I'm support her for doing that, and I hope the city would see fit to do that. It's gonna cost y'all money to move that drain over, but then she could put houses on it. And then y'all could probably put a sidewalk in, and that'd be more taxes, more money for the city to make money you can tax them. So that'd be a win-win for everybody. She's been good. Look out for her.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, is there anybody else here from the neighborhood that would like to speak for or against? Yes, sir.
Hello. My name is Joe Cheka. I live in the Elmwood Park neighborhood. I live close to these lots that Ms. Powers owns. And I would like the property not to be rezoned and remain single-family home. I think a business in that corner would bring a lot of traffic and a lot of noise. Almost any commercial business that you put there is not going to be good for the neighborhood. I think building single-family homes on the property would help maintain our property values and help our resale values. Keep the neighborhood a family-friendly neighborhood. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. All right, is there anybody else here that would like to speak for or against? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Celia McIntosh. I've been a resident of Elmwood Park since 2009. And over that time, we have seen incredible growth and progress in the neighborhood. And like others have stated, I would encourage the city to do what they can to be in good governance of Ms. Powers' properties, but rezoning that to an MU2 is not the right answer here. Yes, there is the MU1, yes, there is the MU2, but her lots are critical in maintaining the fabric of the neighborhood that has developed over the last 15 years. On Wayne Street, there are maybe 8 houses now, very large homes. And so the fabric of that side of the neighborhood has drastically changed. If we were having this conversation in 2005, it would look very different. But today, it's really important that those stay residential, that traffic through that area stays residential. She herself mentioned that the streets are narrow. So any sort of commercial activity in that area just needs to be kept to a complete minimum. There's a charter school planned for that MU2 behind her, and the neighborhood worked very closely with them to keep their entrance and exit on Elmwood under the overpass rather than coming into the neighborhood. And so to rezone this property here would be flying in the face of all of that to try and keep a cohesive sense of residential atmosphere in that area. And we're gonna hope to continue that. The development is just walking right down Wayne Street. And I mean, as you guys will see tomorrow night, we'll have 2,000 trick-or-treaters running around a neighborhood that has seen a complete 180 even in the last 10 years. So thank you for your consideration.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak for or against? Seeing none. Ms. Powers, is there anything else you would like to say as it relates to the comments you've heard?
Well, the only thing I would like to comment on is that somebody's left their phone here, so they might want to come and get it. Is that that is an incorrect statement as to what the property would have looked like in 2005. I've been down there since '97. In 2005, nobody wanted to move on my street, and there were no houses in the back. And I will agree with the lady that, I mean, she's not one of my immediate neighbors, so she must live up in Elmwood Park somewhere. But is that I have industrial behind me, or MU1, which is pretty invasive. I don't know if she gets to listen to the dumpster that's dumped at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I do. And the city doesn't seem to care anything about that, you know, as far as the neighborhood is concerned, because it's within maybe 15 feet of my back door. So I still feel that, you know, they cherry pick me. And most of the people, since I own the whole block, there is no one else other than the one neighbor that just spoke. And the lot right across from him is MU2. The lot right directly across from him is zone MU2. So it doesn't matter if my lot is residential or not, he's got MU2 across the street from him, whether he likes it or not. So I just don't see the rationale. But thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. That will close the public comment period. Are there any questions? And we will begin deliberations. Are there any questions from the Planning Commission over to staff? Just one question she mentioned that it was a zoning of PUD prior to this last zoning. Is there any information to that regard and what the PUD zoning required?
Yes, it was previously a residential PUD, planning
Okay.
unit development, with, I believe, 5 residential homes planned. So it was a residential PUD, and I believe that was passed in 2007.
Okay. Ma'am, we're in deliberations now, so Public comment period has been closed. Any other questions from Planning Commission over to staff? If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make it, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to deny SMA 2023-0014 at 2401 Gadsden, 701 Chester, and NX 701 Chester.
All right, we have a motion on the table to deny the request. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it, the motion passes.
The next case on the agenda is case number 8. This is ZMA-2023-0015 at 2212 Senate Street. This is a request for a recommendation to rezone the property from RSF3 Residential Single Family Small Lot District and the Old Shandon Lower Waverly Historic District Area A to RM1 Mixed Residential District in the Old Shandon Lower Waverly Historic District Area A. This is a .26 acre parcel, which is vacant. And I'll go ahead and just read the staff recommendation. This lot is in a block that is consistently RSF3, and while the recommendation to rezone a property to a more intense district within a single-family block is generally discouraged, the maximum density that this lot could accommodate for duplex or multifamily use with the proposed zoning district of RM1 is 2 units. As well, the property is within the Old Shandon Lower Waverly Historic District. The maximum density combined with the historic overlay, which will require review of the design and massing of the structure, provides a level of assurance that a proposed development would be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood and provide needed infill development in this area. Staff finds that proposed zoning is consistent with the future land use classification of UCR1 in the Columbia Compass Plan, and that a recommendation to approve is appropriate.
All right, thank you. Before we have the applicant come forward, are there any questions that we all have for staff? Hearing none?
Sorry, let me also mention,
Okay.
apologies that I did, there were
Yes.
2 letters received via email from folks in the neighborhood. These came in before the previously scheduled meeting on October 11th. Those should have been forwarded to you via email.
Yes, thank you. Is the applicant present? Would like to come forward? Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. Timothy Webb. 2212 Senate Street, as mentioned, is a quarter-acre lot. It currently has 11,297 square feet with the 40% potential lot coverage. So building size has the availability of 4,518 square feet, or potentially with 3,518 and 1,000 square foot ADU. What we are proposing is a duplex property, 2-family property that blends traditionally with the historic neighborhood. I've also done duplexes in historic districts, as it includes everywhere from West Columbia to City of Columbia. So very familiar with the Preservation Committee and team and different teams around City of Columbia. As you look at the first 2 blocks of Senate Street on the left side, all are zoned RM1. There's an L shape of RM1 up Walnut and Senate Street. And also I have a colleague or buddy of mine that also is in the neighborhood that owns a duplex on Pine Street. I saw the letters that may have concerns of parking and things of that sort. So I want to make sure that we are not disrupting the neighborhood with the 2-family dwelling that we will have. And I'm open to hear any neighborhood feedback. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, are there any folks in the public that would like to speak for or against this project? Yes, sir, come on forward.
Julius, Julius Thomas, 19-year resident of the Lower Waverly community. And I welcome all development to the area. As we know, it's been blighted for some time, especially when I got there back in 2004. I look forward to different properties coming. I think that Tim Webb will do an awesome job in having a residential duplex put there, and I recommend it.
Yes, sir, thank you. Yes, yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Burley. I'm a lifelong resident of the Waverly area. And first of all, I want to make sure that you definitely keep it historic. My concern right now is the parking. On my block alone, there's only probably occupied where there are 4 rental houses right now. And we can only park on one side on Oak Street. There are only 14 possible parking spaces right there. Right now, with just 4 occupied houses, there are probably 11 cars for just those 4 houses. So I really would like to see y'all put a pause on this and just look at the parking, because that's a serious issue. And right now, there are probably several houses that are vacant. If we get any more houses, I don't know where we would park. I have a disabled neighbor now, and he comes there, they're blocking the driveway, so he can't even get to his house. He would have to walk a block. So I ask that you look at the parking as a serious issue right now in that area. So please take a look at that before you consider that.
Yes, sir, thank you. All right, yes, sir.
Yes, excuse me, my name is Bobby Taylor. I live across the street from this property. Now, 10 years ago, they wanted to try to move up in there, but now that the neighborhood and the law has cleaned it up, and it's peaceful now. I sit on my porch at night, 10, 11 o'clock. You come by my house anytime the light is on, because I keep the door open. And you get to move in new people in there, it'll go right back, I feel as if it'll go right back where we just worked hard to get from. It's peaceful there. Old people live there. You don't know what we might get. You know what I'm talking about? So let's just keep it like it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Michael Buxton. I am the senior pastor at Chappelle Memorial AME Church, which is right around the corner from this said property. Number one, the parking is going to be one thing. It's already tough for us, and I can imagine what it's like for the residents that live there. Now, my other concern is that this is a historic area, and I know that we're doing some building at Chappelle, and we are held to a certain, standard or whatever to make sure that the property blends in with the neighborhood. I know that's different from what this gentleman is planning to do, but there's already one side that is zoned for duplexes. And my fear is that if we open the door for this, then it will change the entire landscape of this historic district that we're in. And I know at Chappelle, we're fighting very hard to keep historic Waverly and Lower Waverly as close to what it is and help others to renovate their homes to kind of just keep it, because it's a historic area. And I'm just afraid that if you allow this property to be rezoned, it's going to open the door for some others to be rezoned, and the historic Lower Waverly community will not be what it is now. If you're going to put something on that lot, let it be a single family dwelling. There are plenty of other ones in that area. And I think that the area that's already zoned for duplexes is enough, plus the parking. I would hope that you would consider this very seriously. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
ma'am.
My name is Vivian Clark Armstead. I'm president of the MLK Lower Waverly Neighborhood Association. And as part of a spokesman for the community, we are not in favor of changing the zoning or of our community. We are a residential community. We are a historical community. We have been under siege from regentrification. We're overrun with students. We're overrun with cars. We're overrun with even foot traffic in our area between us and 5 Points. A duplex will only bring younger people, predominantly students, back from school into our community. And we're fighting that as we speak now. Because of the foot traffic, it has increased littering as they walk from restaurants and cookout and different things as they throw their containers along the street. So we're constantly having community cleanup campaigns. The property value in that community will be impacted. We want to remain a single family zoned residential community historically. An African-American historical community is what Lower Waverly, at one time, no one wanted Lower Waverly when it was Old Shandon. And so now that people are seeing that it is advantageous and profitable to be near 5 Points, to be downtown, to be in our community, we are being under siege. We're being sent letters. We're being sent postcards. We're getting phone calls daily from people trying to buy our property. I actually went one day and there was a man actually in my yard taking pictures of my property, saying that they would want to develop it into something different. We do not want our community to be something different. I have been in that community. I bought my home there in 2015. But prior to that, my grandmother lived in that community, and I went to the old Waverly Elementary School, which was closed during regentrification. We are insistent that our community remains a historical, residential, single-family homes. They are welcome to build a single-family home there. Do not change the character of our community, and do not change the status of the zoning for our community is our request to you to consider today. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for or against? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Julie Hartwell, and I own the lot adjacent to this property. And I have every intention to develop that lot as a single-family home. I think you also have a letter from the property owner on the other side, who also has every intention to maintain the single-family status of our neighborhood. I'm requesting, of course, that you deny this request. I am a lifelong resident of the neighborhood. I attended Hand, graduated from Dreher High School, and still reside there today, and would like to see the character and property value in my neighborhood maintained. Single-family houses are selling in my neighborhood, and there is planned development of at least 4 vacant lots as single-family dwellings. As I said, as a lifelong resident of the neighborhood, I ask that you deny this request to divide the block that is currently 100% single family and slice in this zoning designation that's different. As my neighborhood president said, we receive constant calls from developers to buy our property and create halfway houses and other residential types that are incongruent with our historical designation. So I'm asking that you please deny this request. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and I'll be very brief. My name is Dr. Bambi Gaddis. I live at 904 Oak Street. My husband and I have resided in that location since 1992. I have raised a 43-year-old daughter from her almost infancy. I have a 26-year-old grandson, a 16-year-old grandson. All of them resided at some point at 904, and now I have 2 great-grands who visit frequently. I don't have to repeat what has been said, but I know that it is irresponsible of me not to express my concern of what has been stated. We really need your support
to try to the best of our ability. I am all for business. I am all for business development of continuing to deteriorate the community that we're just trying to keep together. So I appreciate your consideration in all of this.
Is there anyone else in the public that would like to speak for or against? Seeing none, Mr. Webb, I'll offer, if you have any last comments to state based on what the comments you've heard. And
Yes, so very briefly, I've heard the comments, and my goal is not to deteriorate the neighborhood. It's only to add value. I'm not familiar if anyone's familiar with the duplex right across from the Bull Street District. I have brought value to that area with revitalizing the duplex there. Also in the, I'll mention the West Columbia, Brooklyn neighborhood of revitalizing a 1900 old mill home and adding value to that neighborhood as well. So I have no intention of degrading the neighborhood. Also, the lot size is 52 by 108. So we have a tremendous amount of space. As mentioned, the lot is over 11,000 square feet to include and incorporate parking. Plan to continue to have the parking issues that are currently the neighborhood is facing. And I'm also open this duplex, if approved, to hear feedback from the community as well. Approve moving forward with this. Thank you.
thank you. All right, with that, we will end the public comment period. Is there any questions from the Planning Commission to staff?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Given that the block is consistently RSF3, and given that the recommendation to rezone a property to a more intense district within a single family block is generally discouraged, what makes this specific one different?
It's a good question. I definitely think there was some, discussion amongst staff, and I think this is one of those ones that was kind of in a gray area, but again, because of it is a residential mixed district, so it's not, the uses that would be allowed in RM are not as extensive as if it, for example, were a mixed-use district, still pretty much a residential use. And based on the lot size, the two-unit maximum, because of just dimensional requirements, right? It wasn't going to be able to be developed as an extremely intense district, but also it's got the historic overlay. But this is also a great example of why we ask applicants to coordinate with the neighborhood, because their opinions are certainly valuable as well. So that was just the staff's kind of analysis of this parcel in this location in this district.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I have one as well, sorry.
Yes, please.
So on this particular street, all the houses are single-family homes, correct?
I think on this side of the street, but then across the street is the RM1. So I think there are some duplexes, I believe, on the other side of the street.
Okay. And it doesn't change anything in requirements to it being historical, correct?
The recommendation is to keep the historic overlay on the parcel.
Any additional questions?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. As it relates to parking, how has the parking been addressed with this applicant? In terms of, are they meeting specific requirements, or is that kind of open at this point?
So the rezoning is just a first step with the applicant. We had a pre-application meeting with the applicant to discuss the rezoning application. The applicant would need to submit actual plans later on, and parking would be assessed at that time. I can tell you that the requirement is two spaces per unit, although being with an overlay, it's actually it's cut in half with that overlay, so it would remain the same regardless of the district.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions from Planning Commission to staff? Any questions of the applicant? Hearing none, yeah.
More than just a comment, looks like across the street from this parcel on the corner of Oak and Senate, those are single family, there's 6 or 7 of them.
These are the large corner sort of lot.
Yeah. But those don't appear to offer any parking on the street. So I think this and the parking and
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Any additional comments or discussion? With no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve ZMA 2023-0015, 2212 Senate Street, the request to rezone the property from RSF 3 to RM1.
All right, we got a motion to approve the rezoning. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
I believe the ayes have it, but do we
Can I
want
do
to
a roll
count?
call, please? Yeah, that would be great. Mr. Causey? Mr. Cook?
Approve.
Ms. Davis?
Deny.
Mr. Harp? Mr. Osorio?
No.
That was a no? Okay. Ms. Thomas?
Approve.
And Mr. Frost?
Approve.
Okay, the motion passes 5-2.
The ayes have it. The motion is approved. All right, we'll move on to other business.
No, no worries. I think the only thing I was going to mention today is to remind everybody of their training opportunities that are coming. I know Sky and Lee have been sending y'all different things via email. So just as a reminder, there is a remote training opportunity tomorrow about greenways. So if you haven't signed up for that and would like to, please get in touch with Sky. Then there's an in-person one on November 17th. But as you know, we've got 3 hours per year for maintenance requirements. And since it's November, we're trying to squeeze all that in. So please just keep that in mind.
I actually sent an email in reference to the remote course and I didn't get a response back.
Oh, is it about tomorrow? Tomorrow, okay, well, we'll follow up on that.
Okay.
If you'd like to attend.
I would like to attend tomorrow's too. Is it an hour and a half, full hour and a half? Or is
Yeah,
it?
let's see, tomorrow's is Beyond Greenways, the next step for city trails and walking routes. It's at 1 o'clock. It's 1.5 hours.
Okay,
So, okay, we'll send you some follow-up information on that one for tomorrow.
that'd be great.
Thank you.
1 PM?
Yep.
That's just online, right?
Yes, this is a Zoom one. We don't have as many Zoom as we used to, but there's a little bit of a mix. So I think this may be one of the last remote training opportunities. So yeah, we'll go ahead and resend that this afternoon or first thing in the morning. Thanks.
All right, is there any other business? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Meeting is adjourned, thank you.